Have you ever really thought about the insane network that's running your entire life? I mean, everything, from blinking to thinking to feeling. It's all powered by a system that sends messages faster than a supercar. Okay, let's dive in and unpack your body's amazing internal internet.
Seriously, think about it. How do you snatch your hand away from a hot stove before your brain even really registers the pain? How do you just know the lyrics to a song you haven't heard in like 10 years? The answer to all of that is your nervous system. It is, without a doubt, the most complex and fastest communication network on the planet.
You know, it all really boils down to 3 basic steps. Let's stick with that hot stove example. Step 1, receptors in your skin receive that stimulus, the heat. Step 2, that signal zips up to your brain to process the information, which basically screams, "Whoa, that's hot, danger!" And then step 3, your brain generates a response, firing a signal back down to your muscles to pull your hand away. And all of that, it happens in way less than a second. It's incredible.
Now, to pull all this off, the system is split into 2 major parts. You can think of it like a giant tech company, right? You've got your central headquarters, your HQ, and then you've got this massive network of cables connecting it to the entire world. So on one side, you've got the central nervous system, the CNS. This is mission control. It's the brain and the spinal cord, and it's where all the big decisions get made. Then you have the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. This is the information highway. All those nerves that branch out from the center, carrying signals from the body to mission control, and then carrying the orders back out again.
So who are the actual messengers carrying all this data along that superhighway? Well, to figure that out, we've got to zoom way in and meet the absolute superstars of the nervous system.
Say hello to the neuron. This little guy is the basic building block of your entire nervous system. It's a super specialized cell, and its whole job, its entire reason for being, is to create and pass along electrical signals. You've got billions of them, and they're the reason you can do, well, anything. So let's break down what we're looking at. See these branchy bits? Those are the dendrites. Think of them like antennas, always listening for signals. The cell body, that's kind of the main factory, keeping the whole neuron alive and running. And this long tail here, that's the axon. It's like a cable that sends the signal shooting off to the next cell.
That's a great question, right? I mean, with all the different things your nervous system has to do, from feeling a gentle breeze to kicking a soccer ball, do you really think one type of neuron could handle it all? No way. They're specialists. You've got sensory neurons, they're the detectives, picking up info from your senses. Then there are motor neurons, they're the movers, carrying instructions from your brain to your muscles. And finally, you have interneurons. These are the connectors, the middlemen, forming these crazy complex networks inside your brain and spinal cord that actually process all the information.
Okay, so a signal travels down the axon of one neuron. We got that. But how does it get to the next neuron? They aren't actually touching. There's a gap. And this right here is where things get really cool.
So this electrical impulse has raced all the way to the very tip of the axon. It's standing at the edge of a cliff. It has to get its message across this empty space to the next cell. How in the world does it make that leap without the message getting lost? That tiny, infinitesimally small gap is called a synapse. It's this critical junction point, this microscopic space where information gets handed off. And believe me, successfully crossing this gap is one of the most important things happening in your entire body millions of times a second. And this is how it all goes down in a chemical synapse. First, that electrical signal, the action potential, zips down and arrives at the end of the axon. This arrival triggers these tiny little sacs, called vesicles, to dump out special chemical messengers. These messengers float across that tiny synaptic gap and lock onto receptors on the next neuron, just like a key fitting perfectly into a lock. And that unlocks the door, opening up channels that let ions rush in, sparking a brand new electrical signal in the next cell. Message delivered. So, those little chemical messengers? They have a name, neurotransmitters. The text message analogy is perfect. They are, quite literally, the language of your brain. Every single thought, every feeling, every action, it's all governed by these tiny molecules delivering their little texts from one cell to the next. And it's not like there's just one type. There are tons of them. You've got ones you've probably heard of, like dopamine and serotonin. Those are huge for mood and motivation. Then you have things like endorphins, which are basically your body's natural painkillers. Each one has a very specific job. And this is why it matters so much. When this delicate chemical balance gets thrown off, like maybe not enough serotonin, it can be linked to things like depression,
It just shows how critical this whole system is.
All right, now that we know how the messages are getting sent, let's zoom back out and take a quick look at mission control itself, the central nervous system where all these signals have been heading all along.
Yeah, this is the destination. The CNS, the brain and spinal cord, is where all that incoming information lands. It takes everything in from the sensory neurons, it makes sense of it all, and then it decides what to do next, sending out commands through the motor neurons. It is the processor, the CEO, the absolute boss.
And the brain itself isn't just one big gray blob either. It's got specialized departments. For example, the giant cerebrum up top handles all your conscious thought and language. Meanwhile, the cerebellum, tucked away in the back, is the master of coordination and balance. It's a seriously organized and efficient command center.
So just stop and think about this for a second. Right now, as you're watching this and listening to my voice, billions, and I mean billions of those little synaptic leaps are firing inside your head. Those tiny chemical texts are what allow you to see, to hear, to understand. In a very real way, they are creating your consciousness. So what thought are they creating for you right now?